Hello and welcome to the magic of fishing. Today you join me back on the banks of my beloved river Trent. I absolutely love this place, and it's probably because of all the childhood memories I've got of fishing on here with my granddad, and then later on the many matches that I fished on the Trent with my old club Dronfield Woodhouse. Before the days of commercial fisheries, we used to come down to the river 3 or 4 times every summer on a coach, and whether I fished well or blanked, I always enjoyed myself. It's just such a big, wild, rugged river, and once you've caught a few fish from it, it's addictive. It's only the second time I've managed to get here this year since the season started. You may remember I had a nice few days down near Gunthorpe, a little fishing holiday with my mate Andy from Sheffield, and it was red hot, another of the heat waves that we've had this summer, and the fishing was very tricky, although we did enjoy plenty of small silver sport, dace, chublets, roach on the stick float and feeder, and still had a very memorable time. But today I am back at Collingham, and if you follow the channel you'll know that I had 2 exceptional trips here, really memorable trips last year in 2024, the first of which was in late September, that sort of cusp of early autumn or late summer. The river was really high, lots of rain had gone in just before and during the trip. I got absolutely soaked, but all that fresh water entering the river really turned on the barbel, including some biggies, and you may have seen one video in particular where I managed 4 double-figure barbel in one day, plus plenty of smaller ones. But the trips either side, or the days either side of that, were just as good in terms of the number of bites and the number of big fish to be caught from this river, or this particular stretch of the tidal Trent. And I returned this February to fish the famous 1A peg just below Cromwell Weir, and it was much trickier that day, depths of winter, and it was quite a low river that day as well, or the couple of days that I spent on the river. I did manage one beautiful barbel late on the second day, which made the whole trip completely worthwhile. But this is the first time I've seen the river, well, this section of river, in the summer. As you can see, it's low and clear, lots of fry in the edge, and I'm actually fishing on mud, or sandy mud, which will be covered with water once the tide starts coming in. It's low tide at the moment, it's late morning, and yeah, the river is very different to how I remember it from September and then back up at the weir in February. But it's absolutely beautiful. Both the village of Collingham and the river are in their full summer finery, and the banks are absolutely smothered with purple loosestrife and other wild flowers. It's a really lovely time to be back at Collingham. I'm not expecting the fishing to be quite as good as it has been on my previous trips with these low water conditions, but I've been chatting to Kai this morning, the ever helpful and very friendly bailiff from Collingham Angling Association, who run this stretch. It's a day ticket fishery, £10 on the bank, and as you've heard me say before, I think that's incredible value for the potential fishing on offer along this stretch of river from the weir down. I got here yesterday evening and had a lovely wander down all of the stretches, the conveyor belt field, the weir field, and all the pegs in between, chatting to lots of friendly anglers. Not many had caught. There were quite a few sitting out for barbel, big baits, and they'd not had a touch. Met some really nice blokes like Daniel, originally from Cornwall. Had a good chat with him. He loves the river, and he showed me a photo of his PB, a 16-pound fish from this stretch. I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. But a lot of the other anglers were really struggling, not had any bites, and so I'm approaching today with a bit of cautious optimism. I'm going to be fishing small baits, natural baits, hemp, castor, maggot, maybe a bit of micro pellet, making lots of casts. I'm determined to be a really busy angler today, keep that feed going in as if I was fishing a match. And although I am fishing 2 rods specie style to give myself the best chance, I'll be recasting them every few minutes and keeping that bait going in. I've been advised by Kai, where I'm fishing today, a good long chuck over to the far side where there's a bit of a rocky bank, and that shows you there's a bit of depth down there. That's where he thinks I've got the best chance of picking up a barbel or chub today. I didn't speak to the anglers fishing right up on the weir, but I think even that's been fishing quite hard in the last couple of weeks with all this hot weather and the drought that the whole country's had this summer, or so far this summer. It's bound to make fishing tricky, but I do feel like with the river being pretty quiet midweek, me having had the best advice I can get as always from Kai, fishing these smaller natural baits. I've had both the maggots on the one rod, this left hand or upstream rod, nicked probably by a small fish, and the casters that I'm trying on the lower or downstream rod had gone that cast as well. I'm happy getting bites off anything, but I do feel like this approach of natural baits, lots of casts, really expecting to be busy and just constantly recasting, whether I'm catching or not, is the right way to go, and will give me a chance under pretty difficult circumstances. That's better. A rod length off the far bank. Apparently the rocky bank, let's let off a bit of even more of a slack. Sorry, even more of a boat, a slack line. To take the pressure off that feeder, I'm using 3-ounce block end feeders. And I think just keeping a steady stream of small particles going and will give me my best chance of a few bites. If I can catch 1 or 2 proper fish, I'll be happy, and if there's a few smaller ones in between, likewise happy. I'm fishing 1.25 pound test curve rods without the quiver tips in, just because I needed that backbone to get a fairly heavy feeder right across the river. And as I know from previous experience, there are some big fish in here in this stretch as well. 10-pound line straight through, so 10-pound main line, and then a 10-pound fluorocarbon hook length of about 1 metre. Strong size 14 barbel hook, and I'm parked just up the storm bank behind the peg. I remember from my previous videos, a lot of you folks at home were interested in giving it a go and asked if there's parking behind the pegs. Certainly in summer, most of the pegs at Collingham you can drive up to, and it's a short walk down a grassy bank down to the river. Really quite accessible. In winter, clearly you have to be a bit more careful if it's getting muddy, and you can't always drive behind all of the pegs, but many of them you can get behind, and with day ticket on the bank, it's a really convenient place to fish. It was quite busy yesterday on Sunday, but still plenty of pegs to choose from. I think there's different ways to get excited about fishing, certainly for me, when it comes to rivers. One is fishing a brand new river or a brand new piece of river. Can't beat that excitement of virgin water and just not knowing what to expect. Maybe you've heard a few stories or rumours, or you've read up on the place, and that was certainly the case when I fished the River Wye for the first time a week or so ago, and you may have seen 1 or 2 videos from that. Unbelievable trip. It was largely about having a holiday with Rachel and our new puppy Bunny, and we did that. We had a fantastic time, but I did manage 2 quick sessions and absolutely bagged up with river wide chub, a couple of barbel too, and I did say during one of those videos that it might spoil me a little bit in terms of my expectations elsewhere, but certainly with the Trent at Collingham, you know what's possible in theory at least, and I've experienced it on 2 previous trips. So the second way to get excited, I think, about fishing a river is to come back somewhere that holds really special memories, and I'm staying at the same fantastic Airbnb just outside the village that I've used for my 2 previous trips. She's a fantastic host. The property itself is stunning. It's part of a bigger farm complex, and it's just a really nice old converted barn, 1 double bed ensuite, and it just feels like home now. Walking through that door, clearly it felt a bit different being summer, and it was nice to see lots of pots of flowers and what have you around the place, but walking into that door, it really took me back to the storms of September and trying to get my tackle dry in there in front of the heater, or the February trip where, you know, it was, you got home in the dark, it was cold, it was winter, but it was a cozy little place to retreat to and plan what I was going to do the next day, and both trips saw me catch special fish. So going back there and just driving through the village of Collingham just really did build up the excitement again. So it's that combination of I'm fishing somewhere, a new part of the stretch, new pegs, so I've no idea what to expect in that sense, but I've had some lifetime memories made here within the last 12 months, so coming back to somewhere like that is really, really special and exciting too. And there's another little stripey on the maggot rod. Decided it's time for a move. Giving it a good 2 or 3 hours and even shifting onto the pellet. Not seen any actual bites, so moving down to the next swim that Kaiser recommended. Very convenient when you can just drive down with your gear. Not like some of my old club matches on the Trent where we had to walk for miles sometimes to get to a peg. And this has got to be one of the prettiest pegs in the area, with all this purple loosestrife, even more of it on the far bank. I'm surrounded either side. Very nice place to sit. So here we go again, folks. New swim. Needs plenty of bait going in again. And I think I'm just starting to see the water level drop. Like an inch or so. So I might have got fishing again just in time for the runoff. And aside from changing one of the rods to a small pellet, keeping the upstream rod on a bunch of maggots, just as I feel out this new spot. Yay, a fish. Not a biggie, but a fish. Oh, it's a nice roach. There's a bit of weed on the feeder, that's why I couldn't feel anything. Just wet my hand and should be able to hand him out. That is a proper roach. Lovely. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, on a very tough day, it's about 5:30 now, that was a bite worth waiting for. It's a beautiful Trent roach, and you know I love my roach. So let's slip him back, but he's put a little smile on my face. A good 3/4 of the way through quite a tough first day. Well, not only has that roach put a smile on my face, but it's inspired me to keep plugging away. Not that I'd given up by any means, but I think we all know what it's like on a really tough day where the bites just aren't happening. Been at it since mid-morning till early evening with only a couple of small roach to show. A tiny perch as well. And then out the blue, a better fish, and okay, it wasn't caught on roach gear, but it was a lovely Trent fish. And it's just reminded me that there are fish out there. It's just working out how they want it, where they want it, and trying to get them to feed. And as the day gets on a bit, there's every chance one or two fish switch on. So yeah, healthy reminder to keep focused, keep enjoying it. You never know what might happen. Well, it is a lovely evening to be on the Trent, and it's been fantastic to be back on here despite the difficult fishing conditions. The sun is starting to drop a little lower in the sky, and you never know, there could be an evening feeding spell to come, but sometimes there are just days, aren't there, when you use all your experience or you just feel it in your bones it's not to be. Apart from that nice surprise of the roach and a few small bits early on, it's been rock hard, and that's pretty much what I expected after speaking to lots of friendly anglers yesterday and getting the same vibe off them. The river is low, it is clear, and it's been really bright on top of that today as well. Not barbel catching conditions, but it's still been an absolute pleasure to be back on the river at Collingham, and I'm still excited about tomorrow. Of course, if anything does happen tonight before darkness falls, you do need to be off before dark with a day ticket here. I'll let you know, but I just don't feel it's going to happen. So I think tomorrow will be a slightly different approach, still fishing lots of small particle feed and small baits in this clear water, but I fancy somewhere a lot further downstream. Actually the spot that I very first wet a line at Collingham, and it's got some form. I fancy trying there tomorrow, and perhaps going with a ground bait feeder approach to get even more scent into the river, as well as all those loose offerings. So I'll continue fishing for a couple of hours, but I do expect the next time I see you will be in the morning, and I look forward to seeing you then. Welcome to day 2 of my mini angling adventure at Collingham. As predicted, no more action yesterday evening, even though I fished up till dusk, and it just did have that feel about it for me, certainly after the first sort of 3-4 hours and that move downstream still didn't produce anything other than that roach, but today feels really different. It's hard to put a finger on exactly why. Clearly it is a different day, but I've also come much further downstream to an area which is where I actually had my very first cast at Collingham and enjoyed a brilliant first day on here with 6 barbel coming to my 1 rod, and that's what really made me fall in love with the place, not to mention the 2 amazing days that followed. But I'm back where it all began. The day, as you can see, is much more overcast, and the river here is really pacey. It's quite narrow, and you can really see the sort of boils and the swirls of the water as it's moving through. It is low tide at the moment, so I'm stood on lots of mud and big rocks that line the banks when the tide is out. Really takes me back to my childhood fishing tidal stretches like Marnham with my grandparents, who used to take me there in the caravan, and it always amazed me when the tide came in and out because I'd never fished anywhere like that. But this is a place where I've got some very special memories. I've just texted a chap called Gary, actually, who was the first angler I ever met when I first visited Collingham, and I watched him catch a couple of barbel that evening before I'd even wet a line, and it really got my juices going for my own trip the next day. So I'm in a similar spot to where I met him and had my first few casts, and yeah, it just feels like I may have chance of getting one today. My expectations are still in check. The river's been rock hard for not just me but lots of other anglers on here from what I've heard, but let's see if we can winkle one out today. Yeah, the tide really is out at the moment. Very steep banks on this section, and although I can still park behind the peg, it's a very narrow track at this point. There's a lovely field of sunflowers, in fact, directly behind where I'm fishing, and you can just see the church spire over the bank in the distance, which is another familiar sight at Collingham. And here are those big rocks I was referring to. Again, just like yesterday, loads of fry in the edge. It really is a healthy river in terms of fish stocks. They're swarming around those boulders, and again a bit more purple loose strife. Real summer bloom. Couple of boys bivvied up, or I assume they're boys, maybe not, on the opposite bank further down. Well, my friends, that is a first fish and a first boat. Just like yesterday, a nice Trent roach. You can go straight back. Having said, there was plenty of pace in this part of the river, the tide is starting to come in, and it has really slowed up. The rod tips are pretty much straight, and I wouldn't say the line is hanging limp from the end, but there's the barest of pressure against it now. It really has slackened off, so my feeling is we may have to wait for this tide to come in and then start running off mid to late afternoon to really stand a chance of barbel. It's just suddenly feeling very pedestrian for the Trent. But that does, of course, mean the best chance should be ahead of me. Particularly if I'll have to see what the tide's doing, what the flow's doing as evening falls. But certainly this afternoon during the main daylight, I'd expect the runoff from the main tide, when that flow picks up again, to be the best chance in such low water conditions. And I'll keep casting, I'll keep the feed going in while this flow is so slow, and that should actually stay within this area. It shouldn't be getting washed away like normal. So it's an opportunity to keep that feed going in and get a bit of bait down. I must say I've got very fond memories of being here for the very first time that evening that I met Gary and was preparing to fish for myself the next day, and we'd had some rain even before that trip, some really prolonged heavy rain the week before, and the river was probably a good, I don't know, metre, 2 metres, probably 2 metres higher than it is now. Really pushing through, you know, it was a much more powerful Trent than I was used to seeing, being a tidal stretch, and I distinctly remember seeing barbel jump like salmon, like golden salmon. They were just porpoising out, not just 1 or 2, but you know, quite a few. And to me it just said they were enjoying themselves. They were on the feed, the conditions were spot on for them, and that's what was happening in this area when Gary was sacking up with barbel. I remember we swapped numbers and he kept texting me that evening saying, I've just had another, I've just had a PB. It was a fantastic sight to see them all coming out, and there's very little fish activity at the moment, or indeed this week, which just shows you the difference in conditions. But I still maintain some hope for that high tide runoff, or indeed when the light levels start falling. It has stayed quite cloudy. Still feel we're in with a chance of one. I tell you what, Kai, the Collingham AA bailiff, is like a bloody fish whisperer. He doesn't actually do that much fishing these days, but he knows this stretch inside out, and no sooner as he turned up in his truck, I've paid my money and we've had a chat. A couple of good fish, chub, he said, were rolling right over on the far side. And he said because that's where the cattle come to drink, which there was one earlier, a bit further down, but there was a big old cow having a drink earlier. He said that often stirs up the bottom there, and quite a few fish hang out on that far side. So even though this is a peg you normally target a third or halfway across at most, he said it's worth a chuck right over. So I'm going to put on quite a light lead, just a 1 ounce lead, a long hook link with a single pellet on, and try a whack over there, especially while this flow's not particularly pushing through. But even if that doesn't work, it's, you know, he turns up and the first fish I've seen all day start rolling. It's like they follow him about. We also said to fish a bit lighter, as light as I think I can get away with, so I'm going with a 4.6 pound long fluorocarbon hook length, and just put a small 16 on with a banded pellet. Give that a go. So that is a good metre long 4.5 pound hook length, 1 ounce lead. We need to give this a real whack. I don't think that's quite far enough. I'll have another go. See if I can get further down on the rocks. Whoa. Slightly wet feet, but that's better. And he is brilliant like that, Kai. Doesn't matter whether he's met you before or not. He's obviously here to collect the money, but also loves this river, keeps a very close eye on it, and really wants to help people catch. So if you've never fished the Trent before, or Collingham, you know, he's here every day. Just come along and give it a go, and if he comes along to see you to collect the money, he thinks you're in the wrong area, or you're fishing it wrong, or you're not casting to the right place, he'll give you the advice totally selflessly. And he knows it inside out. He's just watching it all the time, talking to anglers. So who knows, this might not lead to anything, but it's nice to just keep busy, trying new things. He did say he got a mate downstream from me who's bagging up on nice roach and small chub on the stick float once he'd fed off the small stuff. And I have got a stick rod in the car. I've never fished Collingham on the float, so it's tempting if I'm really struggling, but I have really come here to try and bag a Trent barbel, so, or indeed a chub. You can actually see the not insignificant wake that my line is making going into the river there. And just beyond it there's been quite a few fish moving. Again, suspect chub based on what Kai said, but some of them could be small fish, some of them have looked bigger and they're just rolling. And I've managed to get that bait right over to where they are moving. There's one. There's another. Definitely signs of fish moving now the tides are dropping back and the river's starting to pick up flow. Heart's starting to beat a bit faster, and although I've yet to have a proper bite, it does feel like my chances are improving. Nice to see those rod tips start to pull round again. I think we're just starting the run off now. Let's see whether this changes our fortunes. Oh my god, just had a sharp pull on the left hand rod, the single pellet. Fished right over. It's just with this flow on it now and just seeing a few fish moving, it's real heart and mouth stuff, despite the fact I'm yet to catch anything. Oh, it's just times like this you just start praying to the fishing gods. Come on, conditions feel right, it's overcast, the flow's on, tide's running off, let's have a fish, come on. Well, good old Kai's just been to see me again. Good on him. He did say the whole river is proving difficult, not only today but in recent days. We've got some cows coming down for a drink on the far side, including a little calf over on the left. And we did see a few more fish topping well over on that side while we were having a chat, so he advised me to change one rod to a block end feeder, a few casters in it and a really long tail of about 1.5 meters, small hook and just single or double caster, and just keep whacking that right over. Try and get a few chub, even if they're small ones, just trying to find those casters, maybe competing for a bit of feed. There are fish over there, I just couldn't get them to take the pellet that was bouncing down on that light bomb earlier, and so far nothing on the feeder either, but he's always full of ideas and suggestions and I'm always happy to try them. The other rod's still fishing about 1/3 of the way across, so getting well into the late afternoon, early evening now, and it's just starting to get that sense again that it might not happen, but conditions do feel right with these cloudy skies. Oh my god, guys, we've got one. The pellet rod has just ripped off. Oh, I can't believe it. Out the blue. Absolutely out the blue. Incredible. Incredible. I've just been chatting to a friend of mine, Martin, and we were just bemoaning how difficult the rivers have been for barbel, particularly the Trent. Oh, and it's a fish, a Trent fish out the blue. I've been feeding away, casting away, and we've got one. I can't tell you how full of joy my heart is to feel this and see this. All the effort. 2 days of fishing. Oh, and out the blue it's just buckled over. That's why we do this to ourselves. 2 days of fishing, because you just know this can happen at any time, even when you've almost decided that it's not going to happen. Wow, such powerful fish. It can still happen. It's not particularly late. Nothing's really changed. I've just kept feeding, kept casting, kept plugging away. My adrenaline's through the roof. Please don't let this come off. Whoa. You really do know about it. Oh, I can see it through the water. Stunning. Oh, wow. We've done it. We've done it. Come on. Come on now. Into the net, my beauty. Oh. This scrap like no other fish. It's not a small one at all. It's not a bad fish. Whoa, he's in. Thank God I brought the bigger net. Yes. Oh, I'm shaking. Well, my friends, good things come to those who wait and to those who feed and keep fishing and keep plugging away. If I sound a bit out of breath, it's because I'm trying to keep things quick. I've weighed him 7.5 pounds of prime Collingham barbel. He's had a good rest before I did that, and I'm going to give him a good rest now. I need to do that, get him back, and then get the rod out again, just in case this is the start of a spell. But he's made all the effort worthwhile. What a lovely Trent fish. He's fighting for, wow, off under the rod. Let's get back out. Now, I'm not expecting anything or getting carried away, but as I said earlier in this video, sometimes the barbel on here, in my experience, can go on mini but very hardcore feeding spells. So even if that's the last fish of this trip, the only fish of this trip, oh, I'm a made up man, but you never know. It's always worth getting straight back out. I think I'm going to bring the left hand rod in, which has been fishing right over on the caster, not brought me anything. Bring that back in on the original feed line as well with a pellet. Got to last, I don't know, a couple of hours. Oh wow, my heart is pounding. This is why we do it. 2 days. 2 days of waiting, effort, casting, rebaiting, winding in for boats, Oh, because you can't beat the rush. There's no better natural high than a good fish. After all that effort and faith, I keep using that word, but kept the faith. Oh, to feel that power again, that bend in my rod on the Trent, the river that I grew up mystified by and entranced by. I can't tell you how happy that's made me. I actually feel quite moved. A little lump in the throat. Just one fish. And yeah, I just checked, it's about 7:30, so maybe another couple of hours before I need to pack up, and we'll see whether that was a one-off or whether it's the start of anything. I'm not expecting any incredibly different action, but you never know. But that's going to send me all the way back down the M1 with the biggest high. And I think the biggest lesson for me, apart from all the stuff I've just described about perseverance and keeping the faith, keeping focus, keeping the feed going in, because you never know when your luck could change, is what myself and Kai were talking about just earlier this afternoon. The fish are always there, you know, unless you're talking some extreme flood event where they might be holed up somewhere in a slack, or, you know, a very hot, dry spell where a lot of them may migrate up to the weir. The fish are always there. It's just working it out, and there are some very difficult periods when the rivers are low like this, but it is always possible to try and work it out, and I've tried all sorts today, indeed over the 2 days, 3 different swims, different baits, but that feed has always been going in no matter what I've been trying, and they are there to be caught. Oh, I can't tell you how happy I'm feeling. Oh, it's gone again. Oh, feels a bit snag. No, he's moving. He has gone through the other line though. Oh, we've got another, folks. We have got another last gasp barbel. Feels a nice heavy fish, this. Oh, do not mess this up, John. Just steadily working his way upstream. Quite close in. Can't be far away from the bank. Oh. Whoa, he's off again. Off again. Oh my God, my heart is coming out my chest. Try and keep him away from the other line. What an end to the session. Not got him out yet, but all this action out of nothing. I think we can possibly put some of this one down to the falling light levels. It's going on 9 o'clock. I was just starting to put my bits and bobs away before packing up things like the chair, and you always leave the rods out for last. Come on, please, let's see this fish. I'm not rushing it. Oh, and he's off again. Oh, I've already tied up the drag once. touch more. I do not dare pull out of this fish. What a bend in this rod. Keep the pressure on, John. So many rocks down there. It just feels heavy. I'm not saying it's a biggie, but it does feel heavy. Oh, I just saw it. Looks like a good fish. It's getting gloomy, but I'm slackening that clutch off a touch again. The water's so clear. Oh God, this is a bend in this rod. They do not give up. Oh, I'm shaking. Absolutely shaking with adrenaline. What a fight you get from these fish. What a battle. Oh. This clutch is now pretty tight and he's still taking line. Oh, he looks a good fish. Not an absolute monster, but at least as big as the one we've already had. Oh, oh, he just doesn't know when he's done. What incredible fish these Trent barbel are. Oh, is he finally going to be done? Slacking off a touch. Oh, look at that. I'm a trembling wreck. Let's get the net. Oh God, please don't come off now. Please don't come off now. Come on, nice and low. Oh, he's in, he's in, he's in. Yes. Oh my God. My Trent dreams just came true. A big old barbel to finish the trip. Wow. Let's get him unhooked, give him a rest. Oh folks, I'm almost lost for words. It's a Trent double, 10.5 pound of solid muscle, an absolute prince of the river, a Collingham king, and he's, oh, I can't tell you what he's done for me. He's made me a very, very happy man. But let's get him straight back for another long rest. I'll tell you what folks, for this fish that has made my week, my month, my season so far, I am getting in the water. What a broad back. These fish are just magnificent. And he is going to get rested for as long as he needs. If my bum's getting a bit wet here. Absolutely shaking. Big broad back. He's working those gills. It's only shallow here, but I've had him further out in the net, and after a scrap like that you really do need to give them time. It's worth wet feet, a wet bum. What a fight, what a trip, what memories. Whoa. He decided he was ready. Didn't give me much warning, but he went back very powerfully, which makes me a happy man. Sometimes fishing is hard to put into words. That first fish would have been more than enough, but as the light starts to fall over Collingham, to catch a double on a really, really tricky day as a final fish, I couldn't ask for any more. And that long drive down the M1, I'm going to have a smile on my face the whole way. This is why we come fishing. You just keep the faith. There's always hope. And even when the river's been fishing so hard like they have all summer with the ongoing drought, it's always worth getting out. I know some of you watching can't always get out or can't make it to venues like this, so as always, it's an honour to have you with me on my trips, and I really hope you've enjoyed this. I think it's going to be an extra long video, trying to squeeze 2 days into one film, but I think that's the only way to do it, to show the whole experience. So you stay safe, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon on the bank or in the water.